What's up, guys? I'm Matt Reisinger.
I'm Brent Hull.
And we're up here in Fort Worth visiting Brent's operation. You guys follow Brent on Build Show Network, I'm sure. Now, Brent, I've been here to your shop a bunch of times. It looks like you got a brand new sign. What's going on here?
Got a new sign. You might notice a little bit of fancy work on that.
Some carving going on there.
I
like
got
it.
a Ukrainian carver working for me.
You have a Ukrainian carver?
This guy is world-class carver. I mean, world-class, like top 10 in the world. He's from the Ukraine. He came here about a year and a half ago on an O1 visa.
What is an O1 visa?
So most visas are like H1. You know, O1 is reserved for like hockey players, ballerinas, like super talented people. Anyway, he's here on an O1 visa. He's so talented. He won awards. He was published. He's incredible, and he's working right there in that little office. I got to show him to you. His talent is just like off the charts.
So awesome. From Fort Worth, Texas, the Build Show at Brent's shop. Let's get going. Brent, I love this building. This building gives me the feeling of craftsmanship with it being so old as I walk in.
Yeah, 1921. It's
so
awesome.
It's pretty old, but brand new awning with the symbol up top. What's the symbol
So
name?
that symbol is like kind of my passion for craft symbol. It's, I don't know if you remember, Gustav Stickley has that symbol for his furniture with the little caliper there.
Yeah.
So my passion for craft is, what we believe in. Old growth wood, fine craftsmanship, fine precision, right, in the work that we do. And so, anyway.
Building to last.
Building to last.
Which has always been, with your 100-year window.
That's what we're trying to do.
You're always looking to build things that last. I think that's why you and I were fast friends.
No doubt.
But with this carver from the Ukraine, show me what he's done or what your capabilities are.
It's fascinating, Matt. He's world-class talent. And so I think, when I think of world-class talent, I think of French carving, and I think of the thing that French did. I think of Gothic carving. I think of, just that old world stuff. And so he is able to do anything. He was working in Eastern Europe, so a bunch of Eastern Orthodox ecclesiastical carvings, church carvings, and then just kind of crazy stuff. We've kind of made him a little bit more Western, but I mean, this French panel here, which is we found from a music room, a French music room.
He hand-carved
this. And basically he takes the original picture, blows it up, kind of traces the idea out, but then, and then notes inside here and just kind of all the different stuff he's doing. It's just amazing to watch him work and, design and carve and create and build beautiful things.
If that was covered in paint, I might think it was a plaster cast.
That's the reason I didn't paint it, because it looks so. No one does this anymore, and that's one of the ironic things about having Vasyl is, it's a skill that we've kind of lost and forgotten how to do. And so, how would you even get this carved today? I mean, we're looking for work, right? We're looking for jobs but people don't think about carving because it's been screwed up and bastardized for so long. And I'll show you another thing. It's really subtle, okay? And so we had 2 Ionic capitals, okay? And I had him carve one, and I had, the other one came off a CNC. Now,
boy, you can tell right away which one he carved, can't you?
Yeah. And so, in some respects, if I held these...
It's so vanilla right here.
It's so vanilla, right? It's not as deep, and so we deepened the volutes, and we made them sharper. We added, obviously, the egg and dart thing. And so by just sharpening and crisping, these things up, it just enlivens it, right? But some clients don't get that, right? Some clients are like, huh, what? Most classical and decorative carving today is bad, like 98% of it. And so to get really good stuff, the original stuff, and we're copying the past when we build stuff, it's hard to convince our clients that this is something that will add value. They can't see it.
As you're talking, I'm thinking, Vasyl's probably one of maybe a dozen people in the world that have that skill set currently. 100 years ago, we probably had a dozen people just in Fort Worth or just in this part of town in Fort Worth that could do that. So how do we take his skill and his craftsmanship and incorporate that in a way that makes sense and that encourages the craftsmanship of all American builders, not just a few people that can get his work in their house.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably 5 people in America today that can carve at his level. There are a few of them on Instagram. I'm sure there's a few others I don't know about, but it's very, very limited. I think, even for me, a builder doing historic stuff and things like that, I'm still learning with Vasyl, right? And so what it is an exposure to, and it's an opportunity we're missing, but it's exposure to, what he's carving and what he's doing to really understand, what we're missing, the opportunity we're missing. I mean, let me show you a couple of these carvings out here in the shop. They're going to blow you away.
I want to see it.
Matt, let me show you some of this stuff out here in the shop.
Man, I love this building, Brent. It's such a pretty building.
I do too.
This was the original Nabisco
Distribution Center.
Distribution Center.
So this is about 8,000 feet, 1921, solid masonry walls, pier and beam foundation. But look at this.
Oh my gosh, Brent, look at this. Did Vasyl carve these?
Vasyl carved these. And so, I just, where do you begin, right? The human figure is one of the hardest things to carve, the hardest things to replicate. He's got those pieces, the faces, the hands, the perspective, right? The way the floor lays out like this, the depth of this,
Even the frame's been carved too, right? And
gold leafed? Everything, and gold leafed. And so, you see this level detail. Look at this piece.
I mean, these look like they came out of a museum in Europe, but yet he carved these recently,
These are kind of his masterpieces, right? And I love this thing. This is for a bar.
Oh my
But, they've got some crazy colors in here, but all of this is carved by wood. Even that helmet is wood, the axes and everything else.
Unbelievable.
I mean, it's unbelievable what he can do. And so, again, trying to wrap your mind around, that skill level is crazy.
I saw on Instagram recently on your Millwork Hull Homes page this gorgeous lion that looked like it was a newel post. Tell me about that.
So we found an architect, Steve Ekman Designs, great guy. He loves what Vasyl can do. He has some clients that appreciate that. We were able to carve this lion. Now, here's the thing. What do you carve? Okay, Inkaball, kind of the ugly, cheap carving, has this line that's very famous. It's in 10,000 houses in America, if not more. Where do you get inspiration for a lion today? And so they actually went back to the Renaissance. I think it's Bernini or it's some famous artist's lion that we took pictures of, copied. Vasyl sketched it out. We built them this big block of wood, and he just.
And was that like a year's carving time? How long did it take him? For 2 years?
About 2 to 3 weeks.
What?
Yeah. It did not take very long.
That's amazing. He can see it in his head, and it can come out.
That's the thing. I mean,
it's
he's
almost like one of those Italian sculptors that can see the person, the form of David in the marble, and have him come alive.
Yeah.
That's amazing that we have somebody in modern times
incredible.
like that.
Yeah.
How did you meet Vasyl originally?
Facebook.
Is that right?
He reached out to me on Facebook. We started developing a friendship. I sent him some designs and said, hey, could you carve this? Could you carve that? He says, he sends them back in like 2 weeks. I'm like, oh my gosh, they were beautiful, incredible. I go over to Kyiv, visit him. He has a very small little shop. We start a conversation, and
wow, you've been to Kyiv before in his shop. That's so cool.
And then we began to hit up against the wall of the immigration thing. This was 2015. This immigration wall, this H-1 visa. Well, we talked to an architect. Lawyer in New York. She goes, he really should be over here on an O-1 visa. That's that hockey player thing that we were talking about. So we got him published. He won some awards. He worked in other countries, basically hit the qualification things, and he came here about 1.5 years ago.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah.
But like other immigrants, he's got family back home, right?
And his wife and daughter are still in Kyiv.
I have immigrant past too. My grandparents came over after World War I from Romania. And before they died, I heard them telling stories about how they never were able to return. They left some family behind that they kissed as a teenager. They never saw again. They only wrote letters.
Right.
Has Vasyl talked to you about that in his story at all?
Yeah, I mean, Vasyl, English was probably 20%. Now it's about 60%. So, but he's got a wife. He's got a daughter who's graduated from college. She has a psychology degree. they just went through that huge Ukrainian invasion and just terrible. They had to leave. They had to flee Kyiv. They're now back living in Kyiv. We're trying to get his wife here. His daughter wants to stay there. So, but yeah, no, that was a really difficult time when they were shelling Kyiv, and like, where's your wife? Where's your family? How do we get her out? It was traumatic. It really was.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
And immigrants face that still today from other nations too. I have friends that have immigrated from Mexico, and it's hard to get across the border. It's hard to get to those countries. It's so interesting to see how America is the melting pot. We're a better country because people want to come here. We have business. We have the ability to make money. To live good lives. It still is the golden land of opportunity.
Well, we are a better company with Vasyl, and let me show you some of the stuff he's doing.
Let's do it.
So here's an examples of what he's done. This is a tavern. This is an English tavern, just like the one we saw in there. It's an Ionic capital. English carving capitals were a little bit crude. We are building a bunch more. So he, carved these 6 ones that we're going to be putting on this job, in about 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And so copying the past, I'll show you this thing. We did a broken pediment just like the one back there. And there's an historic example of a, kind of this crown and shield. And so he carved these.
That's
but
so neat.
that broken pediment right where that urn is right there, this thing would sit right there in an historical example. So, I mean, he's such an incredible talent, and we're still figuring out how to use him.
Look at that.
This is
just a standard piece of molding.
8016 crown, right? and basically he...
No, this is Kukin.
Yeah. He took that crown and took some historical designs and carved them in there.
Wow. He's so prolific.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
And I was saying earlier, the precision of how he lays all this stuff out, the careful nature that he does, it was impressive for me to watch. It's not just, I'm an artist, I'm going to figure this out. There is a precise nature of how he carves and where he thinks. Although the leaves look like they're very free-flowing,
he's thought about it. He sees it in his mind.
Totally.
Tell me about the cowboy I'm seeing over here.
So he's got a side project where he wants to do a game table in this this Western style. He loves Fort Worth.
I mean, this is Cowtown, right?
This is Cowtown. He loves Fort Worth, so he's got a bucking bronco there. But I mean, just the way he puts things in the background and the dirt flying up and the depth of this thing, right?
I feel like I'm in a time machine. Right? Like, he should have lived in the 1860s, and yet he's here in your shop creating these incredible things today. At this point, I got to talk to Vasyl, albeit through a translator app, and it was so fun to hear him in his own words talk about his work, how he learned the craft, his experience of traveling to America, and of course a little bit about what's happening back home with the war and his family. He's got a wife and a 22-year-old daughter back home, and particularly interesting too because I came from immigrant roots. My grandparents came over after World War I. His daughter really wants to stay in country. She feels a lot of pride about being Ukrainian and really wants to help her country. So it's hard for his wife to decide, do I want to stay with my daughter back home or do I want to be with my husband? Brent, fascinating tour. I love Vasyl. What an incredible guy. I'm so proud of you for getting out of your normal zone and figuring out how to work through immigration and get Vasyl here. The story is just beginning with him, though,
for sure.
In your company.
No
This
doubt.
is just the beginning of much more. If you're watching this and you're interested in Brent's company, Vasyl, doing some work, don't forget Brent's got an amazing shop. He's producing the 100-year window. Check out his video on that over on buildshownetwork.com. These windows from your shop are being shipped all over the nation now, right?
Yeah, we're getting it's been an incredible feedback on this thing. People love the idea. People are tired of production windows that are rotting out in 10 years, and so getting a window like this that's just built like the old school thing is really a lot of fun.
So awesome.
And so if people are interested in Vasyl and doing work, we're really kind of in a discovery phase of figuring out how to use them, but we've done, we could carve a family pet, you're right, we could do a family crest, we could do
the lion that I talked about earlier.
The lion, exactly, the stair newels, really, things that historically people would carve and make, fireplace mantles, the stair newels, really special doorway. He can do things like that. And coming this fall, a lot of great content I'm going to show, winter tour, and remaking those things and what he can do. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's so awesome.
But there's a lot of opportunity there.
Guys, go follow Brent over on buildshownetwork.com. I'll put a link in the description below to his page over there, and sign up for our newsletter, because twice a week we're going to send you an email saying, here's what's new with all our people, including Brent's videos, and we got some really cool stuff. I'm up in Fort Worth today because we got a series coming up with Brent. So stay tuned. He's amazing craftsman. Lots more to come. Follow us on Instagram or TikTok. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on The Build Show.